Welcome, Gemini, to your Mars in Pisces 6-week forecast. From March the 2nd through to April the 6th, Mars, the planet of action, assertion, and desire, moves right to the top of your chart, giving you an awesome opportunity to raise your profile, but be very focused on your goals and ambitions. But it's important to understand the energy of the water sign Pisces and how that relates to Mars. It's not a great blend, but also be aware of the event chart. So, the exact moment that Mars arrives, what's it telling us in its other relationship, but particularly from a Gemini viewpoint. I'm going to unpack all of this for you, but also share with you the upcoming aspects that Mars is going to create because they are very influential. At the end of it, you'll have a clear understanding of what you can expect for relationships, energy, finance, and career. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so now and help it to continue to thrive. So on the screen, Gemini, is your event chart. And there's Mars right on that 10th house cusp based on whole sign. So Mars there, wow, it's in an exact opposition with the moon. In a natal chart, that can create someone who can be perhaps a little bit impatient, particularly with the more domestic side of things, or even sensitivities because of the fourth house energy of the moon in Virgo, preparing for the total lunar eclipse tomorrow. And that's asking you over the next 6 months to not lose sight of how things feel. But you've got such a cluster of energy right at top of your chart, including your ruler Mercury, which is in retrograde. It's going to be pretty hard to resist. Really getting clear and excited about the things that you want to showcase, and also to try to receive greater recognition and acclaim for the talents you have. So, if you want to apply for jobs, start a new business, ask for a pay rise, a very important time for you. But as ever, we need to consider the host. And the host, Pisces, is where Mars is technically peregrine. It doesn't quite know what to do with itself. It's a water sign. You're an air sign, which really feels most comfortable with fiery or airy energy. Water is much more emotional, and water provides resistance to the speed that Mars wants to go at. So even though you may have a particular objective or aim that is important to you, it's going to be important to be tactical in your approach, not least because Uranus, the planet of restlessness, which has had quite the impact in a psychological, subtle way over the last 7 years on you, is in a T square with Mars and the Moon. It is disassociate by a couple of degrees. That Mars energy with Uranus has been very strong. It reached a peak when Mars was emerging from Aquarius last Friday. We know what happened in Iran. So these energies can be very quick moving, but very impatient and volatile. And therefore, the moon energy, which is much more to do with being protective and safe and secure, is being overshadowed in this chart by the desire to get ahead. What that can create, however, particularly with your ruler Mercury in a retrograde, is a lot of haste. And that haste could be good in some ways because Mars does create spark and excitement, even in Pisces. But if you rush the process, there may be things that are just out of sight or more of an emotional dimension that aren't quite in your thinking. So it's important just to widen the lens. What you do have, particularly as far as relationships and also finance is concerned, is a brilliant link between Venus and Uranus. Now, that's going to peak on the 4th of March, but essentially it's saying to you, if you do have a brainwave, it may be that moment in the middle of the night when you suddenly think, wow, this would work spectacularly well. And it may be drawing up from within you some real ingenuity, but in a way that you can present it that people are drawn to. So your natural charm and communicational skills can be still effective, even with Mercury in that retrograde. However, what we are going to have in the middle of March is the retreating Mercury and its retrograde meet the advancing Mars. If you do have a big conversation then, and it is to do with your career or you're meeting someone influential, your patience could be quite finite. Now, if you do want to articulate your ideas, you can do so with assertion for sure, and people will know that what you say is what you mean. But I still would hold off from being too hasty. Now, later on in March, Jupiter, which goes direct in your sector of everyday money on the 11th of March, please look out for my deep dive for Gemini for that. That is going to be forging a fantastic link to the moving forwards Mars. So if you really apply yourself by the end of March, you may see traction really coming as long as you don't rush the process, pardon me, and you don't take your eye off those more sensitive strands, which might just be about being mindful of the need for some rest, being abreast how people around you are feeling, whether it's a partner or family members, because you're likely to be very focused on your worldly interactions. And right at the start of April, Mars also comes into, pardon me, ironically, a brilliant link, a sextile with Uranus. And if you're really getting it together by then, a very exciting breakthrough is possible around your career. So to recap, Gemini, when it comes to relationships, know that Venus, the relator, forges a fine link with Uranus, which can be unpredictable. There could be someone you meet or encounter through your work that you do have a connection with. When it comes to money, be open minded about how you can make it. When it comes to energy, it's very important to get emotional rest, even though you're going to be very busy. But when it comes to your career, as long as you don't rush, there is a great opportunity to raise your profile in a really dynamic way. To understand what March holds for you, please click on the video on screen, or for that total lunar eclipse, that video too.